So, Nagas, area 2 out of 7 for the Elvia reworks. Finally something profitable to talk about, and in my opinion, one of the best of the reworks. So let's discuss about it. Let's start with what exactly they patched or changed for the area. First, they set an AP range of 260 to 280. If you have more than 280 AP, you shouldn't be grinding here because that's the cap. They increased the Elvia weapon spawn rate just like for every other place. The main one is the yellow weapon, the red weapon is the second one and the more powerful one to spawn, and the blue weapon was completely disabled. They increased the drop rate for black magic crystals from just the monsters and the seeds of void from the commanders, and in return to adjust for that, they made both the monsters and the commanders tankier, harder to kill. They kind of reworked the commanders as well. Now they will always spawn minions when they reach 90% HP or below, I assume, which means you should, when you go into a pack, first just throw skills to decrease the HP of the commanders as quickly as possible so that they can actually start to spawn the minions. They will always spawn 9 minions around them, with 3 commanders per stinky flowers. That's 27 minions in total, 30 monsters with the commanders themselves, and now they chase for a shorter range and they basically stay very close to the stinky flowers, meaning you don't really have to pull them. It's literally always 3 commanders per flower. And yes, now the Naga commanders always spawn the minions when they die, no matter if you have an Elvia weapon and you straight up one-shot the commanders. That's why I say they finally fixed this place and they made it work as intended, and now it's a very chill and relaxing grind in my opinion. That being said, let's begin the money per hour conversation. As always, let's start with how this area used to perform before today's patch, with basically my last visit here being all the way when they did the big Elvia buff before this one, when they also reworked all of the areas, and I visited all 7 of them for roughly 3 hours for basically this spreadsheet, and it was worth about 350 million silver per hour with essentially today's prices. This is how it kind of compares to all of the other Elvia areas, again with how they used to be before the rework. These are the 3 sessions I did for that big project, so just these 3 pictures. And if I go down all the way to the actual spreadsheet, yeah, as I said, 11,000 trash per hour, old clearing speed, 3 hours, 350 million silver, 1 nail every 3 hours estimation, or 1 nail every 6 hours, or only 300, so it wasn't exactly the best performer. Honestly, it was one of the worst Elvia areas, and now it became one of the best. For class, gear and pets, I'm just gonna copy paste the exact same clips from the previous video. Nothing really changed. I still used both Corsair and Wizard to grind here. Both of them perform about the same, and I have more AP than the cap, full tier 4 pets, so I should be looting basically as much as possible. In terms of the grinding itself, with the area finally working as intended, it really was a very chill grind. I would say the most chill out of all of the Elvia areas, because you have to sit so much and loot, and legit you don't have to move much other than just transitioning between the packs. It's not really contested, at least it wasn't when I went there. I spent 7 hours in total and I never ran into problems with other players around. And other than that, the Elvia weapons finally work, because the commanders always spawn minions no matter if you one-shot them, which means now you actually get more clearing speed from the Elvia weapons. That's so nice to know that the mechanic for Elvia actually works in Elvia. That's about all there is to say. So yeah, let's take a look at the money per hour, the conclusion. Just like Biragi, I came here before the drop rate event started, so I have 5 hours spent with just a yellow loot scroll and no 50% drop rate event. Well, this is a bank. With that conclusion, you can actually see the black magic crystals in the bank, because they first reworked Elvia and then they added the black magic crystal bundles. And then I came back here later to do 2 more hours with the 30% drop rate item, this one, and the 50 million 50% tent buff, which I obviously didn't take out the 50 million spent because it was meant to account for the missing 50% drop rate event. This is the spreadsheet and today's conclusion. Long story short, honestly, 580 million silver per hour average, but I literally have to point this out. Hour 6, the first one, when I came back, I literally dropped 4 nails in 1 hour. That's extremely RNG carried, made me like 1.3 billion in just this hour, and it definitely inflated the profit. But for now, let's put here a 3. I would say 3 nails in about 7 hours, 1 nail per 2 hours. seems to be decent. It's okay. I will say this is normal for most people. 500 million silver per hour is what you should kind of expect from the area. 30 minutes of Elvia weapon for almost every session except hour 3, where I actually found a bug with a weapon, might have been fixed by now, but if you actually pick the weapon before the old cooldown buff disappears, while it still says 0 seconds, apparently the weapon bugs. About 15,000 trash per hour clearing speed average with both types of trash combined. This is the one from the Fogan's event spawns. Same here for the each hour number, it's combined. Narc distribution per hour, seed distribution per hour, about 3.5 seeds average per hour, about 8 narcs average per hour, and I suppose that's about it. Estimation for blue plus Agris, estimation with slightly faster clearing speed. This number here only actually compares this to this 14.2, so it's realistically this estimation is like 17,000 trash per hour average. And Agris efficiency with both types of trash, you know, they have different price numbers, but regardless, 220-ish thousand Agris burned per hour with about 50-ish thousand for the efficiency number. The lower this one is, the better. Once again, it's actually worse than it was before. These are the old charts with the Elvia areas before the rework, just for comparison. It most likely got slightly worse because there's so much to pick from the ground with the minions actually working. Inevitably, you might skip more trash than you did before. And with this done, I'm gonna put back here a 6 for the nails, because that's what I actually got, until people tell me in the comments what is their experience and if this truly is super RNG carried, or if the nail drop rate here is insanely good. For the Garmoth results, it's unsurprisingly the same money per hour-ish as my spreadsheet, with a distribution of money per hour for each session. I guess some additional information of what exactly happened per hour. The nails, 6 in total, and interestingly enough, trash per hour average here, Garmoth only accounts for the actual Nagas trash, not what you get from the spawns as well, which sometimes could even be 1000 additional trash per hour. Some extra information with the averages per hour for each item, and let's take a look at the calculator. Tada! This is the result with the super broken profit, including the 6 nails, the RNG carried, yellow loot scroll base converted into blue because that's how the calculator works. I went for 36% this time scaling for the blue loot scroll because the commanders drop more trash. This one could even be 40%. I will put 40 just so you can see it's slightly different. I guess slightly worse efficiency, but with 36 it's 57%. Basically, long story short, it's not really worth it to use yellow loot scrolls here because you're losing on quite a lot in my opinion if you get RNG carried with the nails. If I change the final money per hour using the estimation of 3 nails in 6 hours with a slightly worse RNG, then it becomes about 70% for efficiency, meaning now it's worth it to use a yellow loot scroll instead of the blue. And lastly, for experience, with these big charts becoming slightly less empty with a secondary entry. Nagas, yep, it is slightly better experience than Biragi, now that the minions actually spawn and you get extra clearing speed from Elvia weapons, which wasn't the case before, and it's the same story for skill points, slightly better. Estimation 15.5 thousand trash per hour, clearing speed with both trashes combined. This was tested at 14.5, so slightly slower, but I bumped up the number because the first hour is where I tested experience, and that was my slowest session compared to the other ones. To compare this to the old Elvia, to the previous big experience project from a month and a half ago, this is where Nagas used to be prior to the rework, and it almost doubled the experience. Not quite, but it is a massive improvement. Same for skill points, they did become better, most definitely because you grind the place faster. And I will leave it at that. Conclusion, this place is highly recommendable. It's actually the first place you should try if you have the gear score required to even look at Elvia in general. Completely ignore Biragi, not worth it to start there. Go here, it's the same-ish experience, money per hour like 500 million silver with decent RNG, 1 nail every 2 hours. Definitely let me know in the comments what is the actual drop rate for nails from others who have more hours spent here, and I will see you next time with the third area, whichever one that might be. Catch you next time, thank you for watching, hope this was helpful, blah blah blah, likes, comments, memberships, and see ya.